Hi, Scott. How's it
Everybody
going?
listening here.
Good. How you doing,
Good,
dude?
good. Let me see what I can do here.
I like that background you got there.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, that's a Martha Splatterhead Egyptian style. Yeah.
That's
Off
awesome.
camera, she's feeding a guy a scorpion she's got tied up. It's
Oh
kind of cool.
wow.
You can't see that part. It's pretty cool. Let's see. Would I press start video?
Yes.
I think
Yeah,
so.
okay. Let's see what that does. There it is. Hi
There it
guys.
is. There it is.
Hey,
That's
how's it
awesome.
Awesome.
going?
Hey, well, great to see all you guys. First off, thanks for taking some time to talk. I've got this radio show at Loyola Marymount University. I've been doing it for about a couple years, and I play music kind of like Gruntruck, just heavy rock and roll, punk rock, all that stuff. So yeah, very stoked to talk to you guys. Is this the first Gruntruck interview in a while? When was the last time you guys all talked together?
Probably
It's been a
Been a
while.
while.
2017 was the last
Yeah.
interview. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I wanted to talk about that 2017, the Phoenix record. Were there any live shows to go along with that? Because I read a couple places that you guys were doing some live stuff, but I didn't find anything on that. Just wanted to see.
Yeah, I think your information is correct.
Yeah,
Okay,
we didn't do anything for that,
Yeah.
okay,
did we? I don't think we did.
No, there was a lot of talk of it. There was
Yeah.
much more
Yeah.
talk between us
right,
than there was publicly, but
yeah,
we wanted to, the logistics of it. I think, Tom, you and I talked a lot about this in particular. There was no replacing Ben,
Right.
yeah,
you
Yeah,
know.
it's kind of going to be kind of hard, even if it was a an homage kind of thing or a in memory of thing. Really, what do you do that's appropriate?
yeah,
In a situation like that, it's tough,
yeah,
um, if not downright impossible.
yeah,
Uh,
I think that kind of put the kibosh on that.
yeah. And
But
were you guys kind of wanting that record Phoenix to come out, or was that like how did that kind of end up happening, right? Because that was kind of some stuff you were working on up until the death, right? How'd that work out?
It was
yeah, so
Scott, you go.
oh, yeah. So so there was a reincarnation of Gruntruck back in about what, 1997?
Hmm.
About right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
six or
well,
seven.
yeah, and we started recording new stuff with Ben, and that I think it culminated. We did some stuff with Martin Fevier. I think with the Screaming Trees. He's done Screaming Trees. He's done a ton of stuff. And we did like I want to say the 4 or 5 songs with him, and then we had another little hiatus, and then we got back together like in the early 2000s, and ended up. I think it with Jack that we did it
mhm.
It was, yeah.
up
It's
at
right?
his
Soundhouse.
studio up in, yeah, Soundhouse, and we did a few more songs. So we did, it was basically almost a decade, I think, of us kind of coming together and going apart and going to come together and writing all that stuff for that album.
There was the Mona Diesel
Yeah, the Mona Diesel
middle too.
tracks, yeah, which we did at I think it was Stone Garcer's studio in Fremont.
Yeah, I was gonna
Um,
ask about that Mona Diesel. So that was just kind of a side project.
Yeah, so when Gruntruck kind of went well, Gruntruck kind of we had Alex Sebald and Josh
Right.
Cinder played for a little while. They did the little EP with Matt Vaughn. That was awesome. And me and after that, I think after a few years after that, Ben and I decided to get back together and start writing some more songs. And
You had Craig, didn't you? Was it Craig? Is that the guy from Big Satan? Wasn't he in Mona Diesel for a minute?
no, well, he might have been. I think
It was Carlos,
it was Carlos.
Carlos? Oh,
Steve,
okay.
Yeah, it was
Santoki.
Carlos, and it was I don't remember the other guy, the other guitar player's name, but just it wasn't really, and it's Steve
He
Santoki
doesn't.
from Mona and some other bands back then. Love Santoki. But that actually kind of rekindled because we brought you in, Tommy,
Hmm.
to start recording because Carlos is great, but man, he's no Tommy. And so we started talking. Me and Tommy started talking again with Ben, and he came back in. And then as we started getting together, we realized, the missing piece was with Tim. So, you know, and then
And that
we kind of,
happened.
yeah, we kind of, it took it was like an 18-month process so that
Right.
where me and Ben want to start something else. And then we realized that, you know, the
Wasn't
guys
it
we
also
love,
because
the guys we
go ahead,
work
Tim. I
with,
think Tim
yeah,
was going to interject with something.
I
yeah,
wanted to tail end Scott's, the thing about me not being in it, whatever. I actually came to see Mona Diesel in Aberdeen at the
Wow.
yeah,
Northwest Passage.
Oh, okay,
And
right.
I think Steve himself was goading me to get up and do one of the hits,
Oh, I
like
remember that.
yeah,
Right,
yeah,
right.
Thrive
That's
or
right.
Crazy Love or
yeah,
something like that. And he's just like,
right,
come on. And,
yeah,
that guy's
right,
not,
right,
come
right.
on.
That's, yeah,
And so he hands over the bass, just kind of gives me this look like, just go do it. And I
yeah,
think it was that spark right there.
That's right.
We just remembered that camaraderie, that,
yeah,
that sort of pulled us all back together.
Right.
Right. But
oh, that's
wasn't now
awesome.
the timeline though, I'm kind of confused on it, which, in my defense, there was some things going on back in the day that make things a little hazy in my memory. But the timeline with Mona Diesel, there was like it was kind of we were hiding that. I mean, kind of hiding the existence of that band for a minute,
We
kind of,
were, yeah, yeah,
because of some weird stuff that was going on.
yeah.
Not that's as far as I'll say about that, but you know what I mean? Um, there was some potential legal problems with us being Mona
Right.
Diesel.
And
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Right.
exactly.
songs.
According
Right.
to
Yeah,
some people. Yeah.
right.
So that that was right. Like almost like I remember when the Sex Pistols for some reason did that. They had that Spots, Sex Pistols on tour secretly was what
Right.
it stood for. And they played as a band called Spots.
Right. Right.
Right, but it was really the Sex Pistols on tour. And that's kind of what Mona Diesel was
Okay.
doing to hide their activity from the authorities, quote unquote, because the legal battle that was going on at the time. So I don't know how that plays into all that, but that's kind of important in Mona Diesel's history, anyways, right? I mean,
Right.
lifespan, which was
Yeah, I totally forgot about that. But
because I
yeah, you're
remember
right.
being
In
yeah
fact, I
when we were
think
subpoenaed.
you're the one that kind of I think brought the sort of attention to it. It was like, yo, guys,
Mhm.
Right. It's all of a
you
sudden
know
it's a
what?
real band and it's getting high
There's
profile.
this shit over here that,
Right.
we got to worry about, right? And I'm
Right.
like,
Right. Right.
oh, yeah, okay. I'm just a drummer. I don't know that shit.
Right. Right. And yeah, because we were deposed or whatever, and I remember that was a question or two that came up at the time.
Yeah, yeah,
Was about the existence of that.
yeah.
And there were never any recordings? Like, you nenever put anything out, or you did?
There's
Because
some
I was
demos. Yeah,
looking, I couldn't
demos.
find it.
Actually,
Demos?
hold
Yeah,
on
somewhere somebody has
That's
cassettes and
hold
stuff.
that's
on one
how
second.
that's how the Phoenix record came to be, though.
Right.
Right,
You
right,
guys
right.
recorded with Steve and Carlos.
Santoki. Yeah.
Yeah, and some of those songs are on that lost
Absolutely.
album. The
Yes.
Phoenix
So
album.
the real rare stuff is probably what he's fetching right now is the stuff that ended up only on cassette.
Oh, right, those
Right. That's their
releases as
version.
Mona Diesel. Right.
Right. Pre me or
Yeah.
whatever. That's probably the pretty rare stuff.
Scott was hyping that stuff for a while. There was a
Was
lot
he?
of,
Yeah.
potential Mona Diesel
He's
swag on his desktop at
oh
all
yeah.
times. That was going to
He's a
come out that
marketer.
day. Yeah. Oh yeah.
Okay, stop talking about him. He's back.
This it?
Yeah, what do you got, Scott?
Well, I thought I
You
had
gonna hook Jake up or what?
I thought I had the 2-inch, but I think I gave it to Jack and Dino to help
Mhm.
do with to remaster those things for the album. So
Mhm.
Right.
so I don't have I was gonna show the old 2-inch, but I think
Oh, right on.
I gave
It's
it to
2-inch
Jack.
tape for the listeners.
It's 2-inch tape.
2-inch,
Yeah,
okay.
exactly.
Okay.
Wait.
So the Mona Diesel stuff became Phoenix, right?
Essentially,
Yeah.
yeah. A
Okay.
bunch of it,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
That's the long answer, yeah.
Fine.
The short answer to the long answer.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Scott, just a question I had for you. Tell us a little bit about Bass Truck. I was reading about Bass Truck. You guys seem to like trucks.
What was the
Oh
deal?
wow!
Chris
So
come up
this
with
is
that?
this has got to be what 1986, I think. So I kind of grew up playing with Chris Cornell, and so it's a funny story is that he used to play drum. He played drums, right? That's his original vocation. In fact, he used to play in this band called Face to Face that nobody knows about. Basically, kind of a cover band. He started writing a few things, but he played drums and sang in the band. And me and my cousin Eric Garcia, who was actually Chris's really like best friend. So I was kind of like a tag along. But we started this band called Bass Truck, and basically what it was is we had 2 sets of drums. This is when the Melvins were like just getting going, and all that heavy rock and really, So we had two drum sets because we could all play drums, and then 2 bass rigs because we all play. Kind of play bass. Some of us better than others. But so what we do is it was a 3-piece. So what we do is we'd write these songs where they either have 2 drummers and 1 bass, or 2 basses and 1 drummer, and
Heavy.
yeah. We're trying to be as heavy as fucking possible.
Yeah.
And so we started writing songs, and it was super cool. We just called it Bass Truck, and it was like getting run over by a truck.
Did you guys rehearse at that house in West Seattle where
we did, the White House, yeah.
Yeah.
Eric
I wonder what the neighbors thought of that shit,
Yeah.
They were
I know.
I met some of them
No,
years later.
We weren't
Really cool about it.
we weren't rock stars yet. We didn't have we had some decent equipment, but it wasn't to where we had like the stacks of shit yet, right?
Right.
But so that went on for like a summer or something. I don't remember the exact timeline. And then Soundgarden signed with A&M, I think it was, and they had to go on tour. And so Chris is like, I can't do this anymore, right? Because I'm just
getting kind of busy.
One thing, yeah, getting kind of busy. He was getting kind of busy.
So that
was the end of Bass Truck, and that was right around when I left Skin Yard, and trying to promote Ben into starting this new band, Gruntruck. In fact, the first time I thought about it was in Tucson, Arizona, on a Skin Yard tour, and I had the song Paint. I wrote this riff, and I showed it to Ben. I'm like, hey, here's a new song, but we're at Bill Sassenberger's house for Toxic Shock Records.
Oh, right.
And he had a little studio in the back, just a little room, with a couple of instruments and stuff. I'm playing Ben the riff, and I'm like, but I don't want Skin Yard to have this. And I'm like, we need to do something different with it, right? And that was where I think Gruntruck was sort of started to form, right there.
Right.
So, but it took me like almost a year and a half to convince Ben to leave Skin Yard to start this thing. And then at that time, also, me and Tommy were living together at the Pisker house.
Yeah, West Seattle.
Yeah. And that's when we got Tommy involved in Slow Runner. That was awesome. That fucking took Skin Yard to a new level. And yeah, and that was sort of the kernel. And then I think Tim, that Ben knew you, right?
From the market.
He was introduced, Ben, to me at the Pike Place Market, and I think that was when Eric was still in the band.
Yeah,
that's right. Yeah.
I don't think Gruntruck had a name yet.
No, we have. I remember. I think I saw some stickers like Doghead.
Right. Yeah.
Godhead.
A bunch of vetoed names.
Yeah,
but rap salad for an afternoon.
Yeah.
Pass, no, yeah.
We were young and ambitious.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right. Because I remember him mentioning you, Tim, and I said, Tim Paul, there's a possibility of getting him in the band, as a bass player. And I said, yeah. No offense against Eric, but Eric was kind of whining and wasn't really showing up to practice right and stuff. And at the time he was
busy with Chris.
Eric. Yeah, I think the first Garcia, who was the original bass player in Bass Truck, or bass player drummer, right, whatever. So he's the friends with Chris Cornell that I had brought in. I'm like, okay, well, we can't do Bass Truck anymore. Let's do this other thing, Gruntruck. Eric was never. He was always sort of really weird about being on stage and sort of just like it. To him, it was kind of all silly, right?
Yeah.
And so he was never comfortable. He's a great bass player and stuff, but I don't think he ever saw himself as being a musician, like a professional musician. And
right.
So that's something that was that that we kind of just sort of like, I don't know that we ever really like kicked him out or anything. It was more like he was kind of just like not doing it, and then Ben brought in Tim, and we're like, oh yeah,
I interrupted Tom, who was telling us about how hyped he was that I was going to join the band, which was
Yeah, Tim wants to hear some more of that
awesome,
stroke. Yeah.
But we knew each other since what, 84, maybe even
Right.
83.
Right.
When the Accused played Satyricon was the first time I met you.
Right, because he was in Final Warning. Yeah.
Right. So that
Yeah.
was some,
Which is an awesome punk band from
Which is-
Portland that were just
yeah.
way ahead of their time and never got the attention it deserved. And so I knew Tim was working at the Pike Place Market, and Ben had mentioned him as a possibility of coming into Gruntruck, and I checked with these guys. Dude, yeah, let's get Tim. That'd be awesome. And to me, that was like, we're set. There's no stopping this band now.
Right.
It's gonna be good shit.
Yeah.
and punk rock roots run deep too. So
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
So when you guys got all settled together, was there a collective idea for a sound you guys were trying to make, or did you guys just kind of figure it out as you went on? How'd that work out?
very much the latter, don't you think?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
We didn't know, we knew, I think together we thought we had a good thing. Is this about, we didn't know what it was gonna lead to.
I kind of thought that you guys had a more cohesive idea on what you wanted, and that my coming in to it was going to step all over it, a little too much. You know what I mean? Like, is this too much, crunch or jigga jigga, thick or whatever? And they were like, no, bring it, whatever you want to do, kind of thing. I couldn't believe the freedom that was in this band, the musical freedom that I never experienced before in the Accused years. It was a very kind of rigid, it's got to be this way or that way. I only learned what the top 3 high strings, the ones below the, those unwound ones. I only learned what those were for from Gruntruck. I up to that point, I was a 3-string using guy on a 6-string instrument. And those guys were like, "Oh no, you can use the high ones. Go for it." I was like, "Fuck, this is amazing." Opened my eyes to a whole new musical horizon.
Yeah.
Awesome.
The chrysalis of Tom Niemeyer right there.
Yeah, boy, I'm telling you, for better or worse, that's what happened.
That's awesome. So, wanted to get your guys' take on the big G word, grunge. What does it mean to you? Like, what are your thoughts on it? Were you guys using it, or do you think it's kind of stupid?
Oh, it's fucking stupid as fuck.
It's pretty dumb, yeah.
So back in about 92, I think our first tour, what was that, 93? Like this
92.
92. Anyway, we came back from that tour, or we were on that tour. Actually, back in Skinyard, even like my last tour with Skinyard, is like people started bringing up grunge, and we're like, "What the fuck is grunge?" It's like we had no idea, and it was definitely pervasive. By the time we were on tour, people are talking about grunge, and I was just like, it just felt, it felt gross. I don't know about you guys, but
yeah, it was obviously a convenient way for the media and the journalists and stuff to make reference to the sound of a new sound coming out of mainly out of the Seattle area, but also all over the place. It was really nationwide. There was a lot of bands, grunge, but I think it was just a journalism thing.
When I think of grunge, I think of like Mudhoney.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, that's grunge. Right.
Love Battery, maybe Cat Butt. Yeah.
Yeah. Love Battery, Cat Butt. Even some pioneers like the U-Men.
Sure.
Stuff like that. But I never thought that Gruntruck was a grunge band.
No.
Guys,
I don't.
Yeah. And they started like the Stone Temple Pilots and Soundgarden, and it's like, to me, grunge was more like I say, Mudhoney.
Right.
Maybe Green River and things like that. But I don't know. It kind of got. It was just a broad reach to say Seattle-based music, I guess, and then it went on to the other bands national.
Right.
that.
And now Pearl Jam and Alice in Chains were very different bands, or under the same umbrella. It's ridiculous. And my peeve against grunge, even though we got used to it because you had to, it was just what we were called. people would persistently misspell our band as Gruntruck.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, that was the worst.
You know,
that
Yeah,
was
on
the worst.
flyers and marquees even. Oh,
and even in the
geez.
press.
Yeah, that was the worst.
So-
Pulling up to some town, and there it was on the marquee. It's like, oh,
Mhm.
fuck, really?
Yep.
Oh man.
God, who
Yeah,
did their
we
research?
were cresting the wave with that. You know.
Yeah, that was the worst part. You're right.
Sure. My gosh. Yeah, because I mean, it seems every band they have their own sound. So how can you say one band is the same thing than another band? You know, it doesn't make much sense.
Right.
I mean, I
Right,
agree
even
with you guys.
psychedelic rock or whatever.
Yeah,
know.
right. It's
Yeah,
all rock and roll at the
yeah,
end of the day. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, wanted to talk a little bit about the first record, Inside Yours. I guess overall, just what were your guys' thoughts on making that record with Jack and Dino, and how did that turn out for you guys?
I don't remember any of it.
Was that? Let's see.
It was Jack and Gary, and we
It was
recorded
Jack
it.
and Gary. Was that? That wasn't it. No, that wasn't at Red Farm Films.
It
That
was at House of Leisure.
it was the House of. No.
It was.
It's hazy. I'm
What?
telling you.
I swear we
Wait.
recorded it there
House of Leisure on
on
down
Bell's.
above the bicycle shop.
No,
Yeah,
that was
yeah.
Red Farm. Was about the bicycle shop. House of Leisure was like I think on 4th Avenue, maybe. Something
Oh
like
yeah. That's
Enters through the alley. And
recorded
stuff.
it?
Mhm.
That's where I swear. And Jack came down
I
to.
don't think
Gary's
that
place.
House of Leisure there was a because
Or did we record it at Reciprocal?
No, we
Reciprocal?
recorded Reciprocal.
Okay.
Yeah, we
Reciprocal.
recorded Reciprocal.
Okay, there you go.
Because House of Leisure on 4th wasn't there until after House of Leisure on above the bicycle shop in
Which was Red Farm.
Sorry,
Which
Jake.
is
We
Farm
should have got all this
Films
straight
was-
before
yeah.
we.
I know. Well, it's so fucking
We were not
long
sent these
ago.
questions.
Pardon us
Yeah.
while we discuss our history.
Yeah.
Come to a conclusion,
Yes.
a consensus.
I got some.
You're right. It was Reciprocal.
Yeah,
And
Reciprocal.
I think it
yeah.
even says that on the record.
Oh, yeah,
There you
right.
go.
And that was with Empty. So we first Blake from Empty Records approached us to put it out, and so that was nice for him to come out and get that going because that helped us to get the moving on to Roadrunner Records
Right.
for good or for bad.
Yeah, that was my idea. I'll take full credit, but you can blame. No, yeah. I recommended them, and that's about all. I can say.
Oh, look at this!
Hey.
Yeah, I'm looking in the archives
Oh
here.
my God!
Oh, geez, yeah.
DJ
that thing's gonna-
and Heart right
They'll
here.
survive the next. Yeah, wow.
That thing looks bulletproof.
No kidding, dude.
Oh, it should be. I love that sticker.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Where'd you get
Yeah.
that?
I want one of those.
I know. I want one of those too.
Cool.
Do you remember my friend Vanessa who videoed the signing at Easy Street? She got
Yeah.
those.
Mhm.
I
Yeah.
think there's maybe 6 of them.
Oh, okay.
Oh.
Cool.
Rarity.
Get some more.
Yeah, those are cool.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Well, I got the original though.
Ooh.
Oh, there it is. Yeah, right there.
We're good at reciprocal recording.
What does it say?
Reciprocal recording. Look at
There,
you.
then there it is. There, that's
This
and you
is-
can't really argue with that.
Tim is a resident archivist, by the way.
Thank
Okay.
goodness.
All right. That's awesome.
Thank you, Tim.
You're welcome. Okay.
Got that cleared up.
Yes, exactly. I can rest easy now.
Produced by Jack and Dino and Gruntruck, except Not a Lot to Save, which was by Rich Hinklin and Gary King and Gruntruck.
Mm.
So Gary only came in hot on Push.
Yeah, we forced them to work together. Remember him and Jack?
Well, yeah.
We
So
did. It was
so
a very
the reason-
Gruntruck-like arrangement. You know?
Yeah.
The reason for that is because he did my drums,
Mhm.
and I wasn't really, there are things I wanted out of my drums that Jack never wanted to give me.
Or
Right,
he
right.
did not want
Right.
to give them to you.
He did, yes. It's not,
Not that he
that
couldn't.
he could do it, but
Yeah.
he didn't want to. He
Out of
likes that
some
pure
principle.
sound, and I wanted a little more like a little bit of techno, like punchiness, and then with the cymbals being all, this like
Right.
noise, right? And
Mhm.
Gary is great at that stuff, and so
I don't know why you'd want that, Scott. That's absolutely.
yeah, exactly. That's not rock and roll, right? Love Jack to death, but that's when I was like, Gary's doing the drums for
Mhm.
sure. So
Yeah, it was kind of neat putting them together. It was like two things that two animals that shouldn't be in the same cage together kind of
Yeah, oh, absolutely. Yeah.
It's kind of funny at first, but they ended up like kind of working together towards the end of it.
Yeah.
It was really funny. There wasn't enough room in the control room really, and they were like, "Oh, excuse me, no, excuse me," It's kind of funny.
So some tracks you didn't record on drums at all, or did you guys both did and kind of compiled? Is that what you're saying?
No. It was just
The engineering aspect of it.
Engineering
right.
aspect of it. Yeah, Gary would like, maybe I don't know if he placed mics and stuff, but he was there for like when I wanted certain sounds out of things. I wanted a really punchy, snappy snare. I wanted that like 90s like really really clicky kind of drum head, sound, and the really deep kind of over reverberated toms and things like that. It's like that's what Gary could do well.
Wasn't there they didn't want to really work together though? I thought, I'm sure, all kidding aside, I don't think they were really stoked on it from what I recall at first.
I think Jack wasn't stoked on it. Gary was all over it. Yeah,
right. Gary was like,
I mean, Jack is a king, right?
Right, exactly.
Like, why would I let somebody else into my kingdom? What the fuck, right?
Right.
So, and Jack would never, he's so much more diplomatic than that, right?
Right.
But he's a consummate professional though when it comes down to, what bands want,
Right.
and we had a vision.
I think by the end of it, they were both very, very proud to be working together on it. They were proud
absolutely.
of the product.
Oh,
together.
I think at the end that it worked out well for everybody, right?
Mm-hmm.
This is a separate interview that needs to happen now.
What?
Jack and Gary interview.
Oh yeah, I'd like to hear. Yeah,
That's
right. Yeah.
Awesome. So that was the first record. Then the second record came out on Roadrunner. Making that record, how did that go down? I mean, obviously different label.
So whoa, let's not get.
We might have skipped ahead.
We might have skipped ahead. So this was Push was what we're talking about.
We were talking about Push. Okay.
We were talking about Push with Jack and Gary, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
With Reciprocal, that was all Jack.
And that was Inside Yours.
100% Jack on Inside Yours.
Okay.
So
the first
record. Just keep that for the record.
All right,
but the experience of recording Push was fantastic because, as we established earlier, that was at Red Farm Films over the bike shop in Belltown, none of which is there anymore.
Right.
And we took it over for what, 3 weeks?
No, it was 6 weeks. And the thing is, we built our own studio.
Yeah, we did.
So it was a small 8-track studio. It was this huge warehouse space. And we went to American Music. Jack's like, we need 24-track. We need a bigger soundboard. We need all this other gear. We went and we rented a bunch of gear from American Music and brought it in. And Jack basically built a 24-track studio on top of the 8-track studio. And that's what we did. And we were there for 6 weeks.
In an absolutely giant room that was big enough to have shows. And we had played shows there, which might have even been where we got the idea.
Yeah, because they were hanging mics in the rafters and stuff for room,
for
just
room
all kinds of weird
stuff.
Yeah, experimental shit to get the sounds that they got. So it was kind of cool to see that process.
That was probably my favorite recording experience ever. I mean, we had a budget,
Yeah, recording.
We had a bar.
The recording budget was decent. Yeah, I got that video. I'll send it to you, Jake. I got video of the first day. Or do you have? Is that your original video of the first day of recording there? Did you record that, or was it me? We were just wheeling in like a big shopping cart full of booze. It's just full of booze.
I want to see that video.
It was hilarious. Like just fifths and half racks and cases and
look at that, the big budget.
Yeah, they had a loading dock. You could literally drive a truck in there. So it's easy access,
like a semi truck. Yeah,
man.
Shopping carts full of booze on the first day. That was a good way to start that.
That's the way to kick it off.
Yeah.
Good thing we were what 3,500 miles from New York.
Yeah.
This is where Roadrunner was right. Based.
Right. So a little bit. There was a lineup change in 1993. Tommy, you and Ben were left in the band. Tim and Scott, you guys. How did that happen? Did you guys leave the band? How did
It
that go?
started when we were on tour with Pantera, and we were sort of in Europe, and we were at the tail end of that. And there was, I don't know, friction, you might call it.
Yeah,
Tom and I were in,
drug-addled delusions and
sure. Anyway, it wasn't gelling, and we were individually having fun, but I think collectively we're not. And so, kind of to break the ice, I think Tom and I had a beer together in a hotel lobby bar in somewhere in England. And, it started out with, oh, so what's up? And well, okay, Tim, you're out of the band. And I said, cool. Do you want me to do the rest of the shows? And Tom said, yeah. And then I think we got back to the States and we all did one more show together at the Color Box the next month or something like that. And then Alex came in, and then you should take it from there because Scott, your exit is on the next tour.
Yeah. Again, I really don't know what the fuck we were thinking, replacing or, asking these guys to step aside and replacing them. To this day, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's just vibes. It was just
I
vibes.
think
Tours
it was-
change people.
It was,
Yeah, it was just vibes. It was just like, we were.
I was living in a non-reality, and so was Ben. I think, we were off in different planet somewhere.
Right.
We had drank the Kool-Aid or whatever. We had thought things were the way
Well,
that they were, and
I
they weren't.
I think one of the things that did it for me is like you and Ben flew out to New York to go meet with Roadrunner Records, and I didn't even know about it. Right.
Yeah, right.
And that was just like, wait a second, it's just like
That doesn't make sense.
That doesn't make sense. And so, Roadrunner, at that point, it just seemed like there was a sort of a split that was going on. And so, I think it made sense at the time to do what happened. And
honestly, I was not dejected to have left at that juncture. I was delighted to come back 3 years later, but I think in '93, a breather was welcome.
Yeah. It was never the same. It wasn't the same band, obviously, without these guys. It was, it had flames, and it had, a new carburetor, and it had big, fat, cool tires, and it was hauling ass, but it wasn't the same grunt truck.
Right.
It was a faster grunt truck, to sit on that analogy.
What's that?
It was a faster grunt truck to roll.
Yeah, it was a faster grunt truck, but that was never the intent, and it was super tight, but that's because it was 3/4 of the Accused with Ben singing,
Yeah. One of the tightest bands on the West Coast.
Yeah. Again, sometimes you don't want your grunt trucks too super tight.
Right.
So yeah, that was, it was okay. We did some things, but the momentum, the anybody could have flown that plane really at that time, because it had the momentum that it had, and it wasn't the same. It was cool that Matt was involved. That was a good thing. I wish we had him years before when these guys were still in the band. When we began, it would have been nice to have management with, goals and direction for us, and able to, corral us every now and again to do the, practice.
And that's, for our listeners, that's Matt Vaughn from Easy Street Records.
Right, Matt Vaughn, yeah, correct.
So
yeah, his involvement at that time was probably the only thing really keeping it together, really.
Right. And Tim and Scott, you guys weren't on that the EP you guys put out. You guys still weren't in the band at that point.
Sure, that was after. Yeah, there was a tour after we got back from Pantera in '93, wasn't it? You guys, Circus of Power.
Yeah, it was Circus of Power tour. That was a
with Alex.
Show.
Yeah,
we were supposed to go out with Caius,
right?
Which would have been epic.
Great, yeah.
And at the last minute, that fell through, and then for whatever reason, like I don't know what happened, but Matt and the labels or whatever, they're like, well, we got all these shows lined up, so how about Circus of Power, who were in a decline, and it actually got kicked off their label halfway through the tour and had to leave the tour. Yeah. They were jokesters, man. We used to watch them, and they were just.
I felt bad for them.
I felt bad for them. We were fucking heckling them from the fucking out, and we're doing a like a it was when it started off, we're doing a co-headline tour, so we would headline one show, they headline another show, we'd headline one show. Yeah, you could tell that we were on the upswing and they were on the definite downswing.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was, and then the one thing I do remember though that gave me kind of a chuckle was that they had all these new bands that got to play with us in Circus of Power.
Right.
And man, these guys, this is like, it's good to be, 19 and with the world in front of your eyes and just getting a label deal and all these bands that the record label would put us up with. Man, they were just like, I just remember they were so full of themselves. It's just like, and I was just like, this is probably us, 5, 6 years ago,
Yeah.
and I just kept laughing about all these different new groups that were coming in and playing with us. Yeah.
Because there was such a buzz and excitement in music in general, in alternative rock or whatever you want to call it, that there was bands forming left and right that thought they were just going to be the next big thing right off the, right out of the gate. They just were very confident, but they didn't understand that the business doesn't work like that,
Yeah.
It's you're just not automatically going to be the next best, or the next big thing.
Right.
So yeah, you're right, Scott. It was interesting to see a lot of that. And a lot of those are in the where they now fought, a lot of them, even more so than we
Yeah.
are,
Yeah, right.
So,
Obviously, we have not all been in the same room, virtually or otherwise, since 2017. So we're kind of catching up on your dime here.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Were you guys doing a lot of press for that in 2017?
we did a bit. Tom, are you? I think Tom's muted.
Oh yeah.
okay, yeah. Hello.
There you are. Yeah.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, there was some press. There was some activity, but not like a ton.
Right.
You mean for the found recordings one?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, there wasn't a whole lot, but he did such a good job with that though. Man,
He really did.
we made royalties on that for the first time. We made our first royalties from that record.
For the first time in our existence.
For the first time in our existence as a band. It took that record to get a royalty check. Yeah, it was amazing.
Wow.
Yeah. Thank you, Blake.
Yeah.
Good guy, man.
Yeah, but like I said, it's weird. Like everywhere, like Wikipedia, the website, and it always says like, yeah, planned shows are in the works or something. So I was just wondering about that.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah,
That might have been
like,
James Francis, actually.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he was editing our Wikipedia page. This is a friend of ours that we've been in various bands with, that we've known and conspired and collaborated with for decades.
Yeah.
I think he had a hand in hyping the upcoming shows for 15 years.
He didn't want to sing though. He didn't want to sing. He was one of the guys that was going to be touched. He was tapped on the shoulder to sing.
He wanted to, and then also didn't want to, I think.
Right. Yeah, he was kind of being weird about it. Mm-hmm. That would have been good though, because he, not that he sounded exactly or looked or anything. There was no, none of that. But it was just him as a person would have been appropriate.
Right.
Because he was very
around
close to the band.
back
Yeah,
then.
and a huge fan of the band and a great singer and guitar player in his own right. But it would have been neat to see him play, do a few songs or something, that would have been a cool tribute, I think, to play with James Francis singing and us three backing him, doing some old Gruntruck stuff. That would have been cool, I think. To this day, it would be cool, I think. I would do that in a heartbeat.
Was that ever like considered, or were you guys just not feeling it?
We talked about it again at the end of last winter, didn't we, Tom?
Mm-hmm.
It was suggested to us that we put in an appearance at a thing this year, which we won't mention because it may or may not happen, and I don't want to do that, shows coming soon thing again for another 2 decades. But I think we were more, Tom, is it fair to say that we were more open to the idea this year than we were 8 years ago?
Mm-hmm.
It just felt like maybe it could be a tribute now rather than
than a writing of our own coattails or something.
Right.
Like is what it kind of felt like before a little bit.
Yeah.
Almost, or like benefiting from Ben's absence or something kind of thing.
It just didn't feel right.
Yeah. Didn't feel right. Yeah.
We were excited to do it. We were excited to get back together. And then I think we all sort of had a collective epiphany. And it sort of started, I think, when Tom and I were on the phone together. It just did not feel right.
Right.
You have to go with that.
Mm.
Yeah. I was looking around on YouTube. I found some like live recordings. I think one was from 2002. And it looked like there was a different lineup. I want to say there were five people on stage. Ben
Aaron Slip.
wasn't playing
Aaron
guitar.
Slip.
There were 5 people on
Yeah.
stage. Yes.
Yeah, yeah, you're right. Yeah, guy named Aaron Slip, Slipp.
Uh-huh.
Aaron Slip. Yeah, he played guitar for a little while. Maniac, fucking maniac. That guy.
Absolute maniac.
Love that
And
guy.
you
I
could
knew him
not-
since he was about this big. He was just
Yeah.
a little tiny kid, and he got taller than me and fucking plays a wicked guitar.
Wow.
Yeah, he was good. Yeah.
How did that go down? Did Ben just want to sing or?
Um, I don't know, Ben.
Yes.
What did yes?
The short answer is yes. The long
Okay,
answer is also yes.
Who knows what Ben ever wanted, really?
Yeah.
Right.
Even Ben didn't know what he really wanted. I mean, I don't know, man. He was a funny dude.
Yeah.
Hard
It,
to, hard
it,
to
it, let's, it was, it worked better. Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
What?
Offloaded guitar duties from Ben.
Oh yeah,
That particular
yeah,
year. That was our vibe.
yeah,
And,
yeah.
Let's
Yeah.
say that.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was rocking when he didn't play guitar. Sometimes it was
Yeah.
really good, and it's really good. Just because it was just one of those things. He just, he concentrated on certain things better than others.
Yeah.
Like vocally, you're
Changes the
saying?
energy.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Because he was a very, a master of his craft vocally, I think.
Yeah.
And the guitar thing was kind of a way to get his music over to others.
Right.
So they
Right.
could, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Give you these little tiddlywinks of riffs and then go, did you mean for it to sound like this? And then, play. And he's like, yeah, that's it. Oh, okay. Gotcha. All right.
Back to one of your earliest questions, Jake, about how, did we have a defined sound or did it sort of grow from what Tom just described, a small riff, an idea, a hummed tune? It was very much that,
Mhm.
Right.
Did you mean this? And then we would just take it and distort it and pull it around
Yeah.
like silly putty and totally destroy it and have a big
Yeah.
fight about it. And then it was half a song.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that was probably part of the magic of Gruntruck, because people's ideas would come in their mind sounding one way, and then it would just kind of get manipulated and molded into something a little bit different usually than what they brought in, but for the better,
Right.
It was kind of neat.
Was the goal for Gruntruck to were you guys trying to be big, or were you just trying to make music and just do your thing and keep it underground or whatever? Like, what was the vision? You know what I mean?
I don't think we were very serious about success,
Right.
No.
really,
No.
music biz and all that stuff. No,
No.
it was very much just, I mean, like when Roadrunner came along, that was, why not? They showed up, they gave us an offer. It's not like we're going to shop around or anything,
Yeah.
So we just said, fuck it. Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, for any band that feels good about what they're doing, the idea of actually making a career out of it, of course, is really attractive. And we were excited about that.
Mhm.
We saw all of our friends touring and selling records and having a good time. And, that opportunity was extended to us. And little did we know at the time what it was going to turn out to be. But
Right.
sure, it was attractive. But no, like Tom said, we weren't setting out to be rock stars. I don't think any of us had dreams of that at all.
Yeah.
Mm-mm.
Yeah. And I was reading around. I think you guys had to file for bankruptcy to break from some contract obligations. I was just curious about what were the specific contract obligations that were terrible?
You can read up on that. It's in case law. It's entered in legal journals.
Right.
I know a law professor here in Seattle that teaches it to his music law classes. As an
Oh, wow,
example.
that's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah,
The
I think
Ninth
it had
Circuit.
not really been done before. And Tom, you can talk more to that, but
Yeah, go ahead.
you can literally look it up. If you Google, Gruntruck versus All Blacks BV, it's all over the
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, it is a
For
legal
your
precedent.
perusal. But Tom, tell us how it went down.
Essentially, yeah, because of the way the contract was written and the way that we misunderstood it, it was financially impossible to continue to go the path that we were on, selling X amount of records and then trying to recoup and then make some sort of profit off of it and then continue to make videos and get tour support and give them another record. We were just going more and more and more in the hole financially. Essentially, in the way we saw it at that time, and even in hindsight, they couldn't really keep up with the success that we were creating for the band, or or that had been created for the band, not we, through the help of many other people, including Mike Judge and Beavis and Butthead. That was huge for the band when we appeared on that episode. The very next day, the SoundScan charts or whatever show sales through the roof.
Right.
And also demand for the CD, the push CD at the time was huge, and they were selling out all over the place. People couldn't keep it in stock, and so that meant lost sales. And we were touring like crazy, thanks to Alice in Chains and Lane specifically. We got all those opportunities, and that was creating a buzz and an interest, and people were running around looking to try and buy our CD, and they couldn't find it, and that was a problem.
We kept hearing that. We'd roll into a town and people would come up to us and say, "Where can we get your record?"
Right.
I heard that over and over.
Yeah. We started writing it down in a little notebook because we knew we were going to have some problems and have to address that with the label. So that's why when we got X amount of, hundreds and thousands of dollars in the hole, and they asked for another record, we said, well, we got to renegotiate this contract because there's just no way we can do it under these terms because of this cross collateralization and things like that, and the publishing and this and that. And so there's always been a big bickering about all that. It's being disputed or whatever. But like Tim said, it got they ruled in our favor as far as the bankruptcy goes. We made the contracts part of the estate, and the estate of Gruntruck was, terrible. It was in a bankrupt position. Unfortunately, we personally had to file bankruptcy as well, as individuals. I just had gotten my first debit card in my whole life like a year before that. And I was like, oh man, really? I got to file. I guess, yeah, I am bankrupt. So that kind of sucked. But yeah, that became case law or whatever. And it worked in our favor. We got, essentially released, but by that time it had been 2.5, 3 years of court litigation, and we'd lost all momentum that we had.
Yeah.
And that's when all the members were changing and stuff. We were grasping at straws. We were going down for the third time as a band, Ben and I. And we were just like, what do we do? What do we do? Let's keep replacing people, in the band. That's always, sure, that's an answer, no. So by that time, nobody really knew what was going on, and it just kind of fizzled out, It was time to just end it.
Yeah. And Tim and Scott, what were you guys doing during that time? Were you guys still doing music, or were you taking a break?
I was just taking a break. Scott, I think you were still playing.
Oh yeah. Shit. What the hell was I doing? Yeah, I played in a band called Softy with Peter Litwin, from Coffee Break, and Emily Arm, Mark Arm's wife.
Cool.
And
you were in Palm Springs, I think, when I called you.
I was in Palm Springs. Yeah, right. Yeah, I was living the high life, playing golf, fucking jumping in the pool.
Yeah.
There might have been a couple other projects. Fuck, I don't remember. This is like what, in the late 90s, right?
97.
Yeah, 97. I think the Softy album came out in 98, which is awesome. You should. I can send you a copy.
That is good. Yeah,
I've got plenty.
You heard that Softy before, Jake?
I don't think I have. No, Softy.
Good. Yeah, it's good.
Cool.
And I don't think Cappy knows anything, do anything at that time.
I think that was later.
Cappy Day was before. Cappy Day was 80s. The Cappy Day was predates Gruntruck.
Yeah.
Predates Skin Yard for me. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So, it was really a forgettable time, Jake. Really.
Yeah.
But you and I, Tom,
unmemorable, unforgettable. Yeah.
Speaking of forgettable, you forgot that we were in a band called Lie Together with Carlos.
Oh, see,
yes, that's
and
right.
This might have had something to do with Mona Diesel, because we got Carlos in a band with you and Chris Godey.
Yeah.
Who was also in The Accused.
Yeah.
And we were doing this is 97 maybe.
Yeah. That's the grasping at straws I was referring to earlier, Jake. It was this is just trying to form band, trying to do something just to stay relevant or just to stay sane,
Yeah.
Right.
forming side project bands, whatever,
Yeah.
just to,
And then we tried to
it
do
was
Gruntruck again, and that sort of fizzled. But then you sort of kept Carlos, and then did Mona
right,
Diesel.
right, right.
I think I might have been the
Yeah, it was a
the
tendency to
got
do
pulled out of that
that.
chain.
Borrow members and just kind of keep them.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Which is very
There,
Seattle
son.
too.
Yeah, that is very Seattle. Yeah. So yeah.
All right.
But
So
shortly after that, we have this photo.
oh,
Yeah,
wow.
that's right.
That
That was the wasn't that Tacoma there? That the
Tacoma, yeah, that's
or
around
Fife.
2000. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that was right before Ben went into the doctor. He went into the ER that next day, I think.
Did he really?
I think so. I think
Yeah.
that was the day. Yeah, he said, I'm not feeling too good. And I said, well, you look like shit. You should probably go get seen somewhere. I'm going to go into ER and see what they say tomorrow. So, okay, good
Yeah.
idea. And I think that was it.
Yeah.
He collapsed on the floor or whatever right there and went into the coma and all that shit, I think.
Oh,
It was
really?
right after that photo, the very next day, I think.
So what was that? 2003 or something?
I think it was 2000. So, yeah,
When
I
was
think
when-
you might be thinking this might be earlier than you're thinking.
Maybe
Tom. I
that's
think-
earlier. Maybe that's
Yeah.
early.
It's this is 2000
Okay.
because I remember because I had two different dates show up to the same show.
Oh, that's always fun.
Yeah. And yeah, one of them stayed, one of them went home. So how it works. Yeah.
Yeah,
Playa.
Scott, we were talking a little bit about that kind of early 2000s Gruntruck period. Just kind of wanted to see, like, what were you guys thinking around that time? Was the goal just to keep on playing? Just to keep doing
Yeah,
your-
I think we got a little bit of a wind there. We started writing some new stuff. That's when oh shit, I can't remember but the other half of the songs from that 2017 album we wrote.
Right.
And yeah, I think for me, it's like, okay, well, let's give it another go.
Right.
Yeah.
And it seemed to be like there's about 6 months where I think we were writing some good stuff and kind of getting ready to maybe turn the page and do something new. And I don't know what really happened, but it's just like it again, we've been there, done that, and yeah.
We had some good management back then, though, that was sort of making us believe that
Yeah,
it's
right.
doable as well. We had Michelle Underwood and then Deb Rock after that, who
Yeah,
kept us cohesive and kept us focused on task and
right.
made things happen that
Inspired.
looked like we were a viable entity for a while.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And we actually probably were.
Yeah.
It's hard to, when you're going through it, it's like you always think that the end is near, like okay, the music's gonna change and people are gonna go away from grunge or whatever.
Yeah.
Which turned out not to be the case at all, right? It's like if we would have probably stuck together and gutted it out, we probably could have made something of it. But it's just hard to tell,
Ben's health too was,
Well, Ben's health was a big deal, but not at that point. Not at
No.
in the late like 98, we were doing Bob's Garage and doing this stuff. Ben's health really happened about 2004, 2005 is when he really started to show signs. He got it's just like it was too bad. Like, but he was, he's just I miss him a lot. He's he's just somebody that you love to have in your life and hated to have in your life at the same time.
I know. He drove me fucking crazy, that guy, but I love him to death. But fuck, we would fight. Oh, fuck, we would fight.
Yeah.
Over the stupidest things, but
yeah,
because he'd just get under my skin, just be, and just because I just look over and he'd have, a handful of broken guitar strings and a half of 40 going, I need a cigarette, and he's got, 4 hanging out of his mouth, and it's like, dude, look in the mirror. Do you not see the insanity here? Jesus.
Yeah.
The guy fucking drove me to drink. I swear to God. But I loved him to death, man.
Yeah.
And just a creative motherfucker.
Yeah. He truly was.
Super creative.
He was a force.
Man.
for sure.
Which one of you guys came up with the name Gruntruck? Just curious.
Ben.
Ben?
It was Ben, wasn't it? Yeah.
Ben was in a
You,
record
Scott?
store.
Scott?
Wait,
Scott's-
wait, no. It
Wasn't
was so we're coming back from where we used to practice down at
Scud?
yes, down Scud.
Mhm.
And me and Ben are going up to Two Dagos, right? We used to always go up there and drink after the thing, and we're trying to think of we're thinking of names. And I was talking about bass truck,
Right.
and I like the idea of the truck. The truck just like didn't hit. And Ben just basically looks at me. We're walking up I think it's Cedar, right? Cedar Street. Cedar Street goes up to Cedar.
Mhm.
And walking up just right around the corner from I remember it clear as day. And Ben just turns to me and goes, "Grunt." That was it. I mean, he just
Grunt?
like, yeah, he just went grunt. Yeah, he just said the word grunt, and then we're like grunt truck, grunt truck, and like what?
Now,
We
this
didn't
was
even know
pre-grunge, right? This was
This
pre-grunge.
is
I mean,
way pre-grunge. This is
Yeah.
It was in the 80s.
This is in
Right.
the 80s.
Yeah.
So,
grunt.
yeah, and the thing is we don't even know. So there was such a thing as a grunt truck, right? In the military,
Oh.
it's the truck that carries all the troops, right? The big canvas covered,
Mhm.
vehicle.
It carries
That's a-
grunts.
That's
Right.
a grunt truck. It carries
Right.
grunts, right?
Right.
We didn't, I never knew that until like 20 years later, when
Right.
somebody said, "Oh, you named yourself after a troop carrier." I'm
Right.
like,
I think it was some Marines that came up
Yeah,
actually to one of the
yeah.
shows
I'm like,
that were fans because
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's how that happened. It was just like, I was talking about hitting over like with bass truck, just hitting over your head with the truck. And then Ben just basically he literally just went grunt.
Mhm.
Wow.
Mhm.
That was it.
Wow.
Which came in
Yeah.
handy because those Marines, having those guys as fans is
Yeah.
a pretty good thing, man.
Yeah,
They're-
security, right?
yeah, big time. Yeah, there would be quite a posse of them. Some shows.
Yeah.
We played a few shows near the Air Force Base out here, and those were always packed.
Oh
Mhm.
yeah,
Nicest guys you could ever want to meet, and they were
Mhm.
packed. With
Mhm.
Out
guys off
of
of there.
the Joint Base McCord.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
wore the grunt name
Yeah.
with pride. I
Yeah.
mean, or the grunt label or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I know I'm mixing up my military branches there, but still.
Right. Marines, Air Force.
Yeah,
Yeah, they're
Sure.
So we got Grunt Truck, Bass Truck, Mona Diesel, kind of getting a theme. Diesel truck.
Yeah, right. There's a little automotive thing. Yeah. And
Is that on purpose?
Ben that never had his fucking own car until he was like 37 or whatever the fucking
Yeah.
or whatever it was. Didn't own a vehicle or a license.
Did
But
he
he was
buy like a piece of shit Porsche or something?
yeah, that one that he nailed the cop in.
Yeah, right. And he ran into a cop.
Yeah, while he was drinking on his birthday.
Oh,
Yeah, but it was the cop's fault.
And he got off. Yeah,
Yeah,
right.
he got off. That guy fucking
Only Ben,
Teflon
only
Ben,
Ben.
man. I swear to God, that guy. Nothing sticks to that guy. I was like, you what? You hit a cop and you're standing here to tell me about it?
Yeah.
Weren't you in jail? Well, the cop actually, it was his fault. I was like, and he just reeked of vodka. I'm like, oh, fuck, you are amazing, dude. Just amazing. Fucking guy.
what a story.
Unbelievable.
What a story.
That's true.
All right, I'll kind of try to wind it down. I got a couple more questions if you guys got like 10 or so minutes, if that's cool. Just wanted to hear your guys' opinions on streaming services, Spotify, Apple Music, that kind of opposed to physical media like records or CDs. What's your take on that?
In the very beginning of streaming, back when you had Napster, I think is that fair to say that Napster was really the first streaming service?
I would
that was a
consider-
download
yeah,
service.
Or
because
file
of-
sharing. I don't know.
Yeah,
Is it
file
streaming or
sharing,
file
sure,
sharing?
Yeah. See, this is when Scott and I worked together, Web 2.0 days back in we were all about file sharing because of our record label experience.
Mhm.
We were
Yeah.
a little bitter,
Mhm.
and I think that we thought that was fantastic, make music free.
Mhm.
But then later realizing what that actually did to artists and their livelihood, I'm not with it.
Mhm.
I don't know about you guys.
Yeah. Yeah. The file sharing thing is kind of, yeah. I mean, unless you
You
really
mean
have your
what?
fucking ducks in a row and have your, all the boxes checked on your catalog of stuff that you've created in your life, and you're able to get to monetize it and have
Mhm.
that,
No.
sewed up tight. It's tough to make money, making music. It's very
Yeah.
tough, you
Yeah.
know. Um,
Yeah.
I'm just now, figuring out some things about the Accused catalog. I'm trying to get that shit in order
Yeah.
and get it all under the proper umbrella and, into the right hands of the people that created it and stuff.
Yeah.
And it's interesting. It's technology came upon us real fucking quick. So artists kind of, you got to be on your game to make money off of it. But it's
Well,
Well,
as
that's why
a
ticket
fan,
prices
it's
are so
fantastic.
high.
What's that?
That's why ticket prices are so high, because you make
Right.
zero on the,
right.
on the actual product of your music. You've got to have a
Right.
So
zillion plays to.
Actually, the industry totally changed. So it used to be, mechanicals and royalties and all that stuff were what made you money as a
Right. When the
in
physical
music
product
industry.
sold, you got paid.
That is gone pretty much. Unless you have a billion streams, you
Right.
ain't doing shit.
Right.
So now as it is, concerts are so expensive because that's the only really stream of income, that and merchandise. And the thing is the fucking industry, around it, Ticketmasters and fucking the venues and all that stuff, they just up their prices too, right? Because they know that that's where the money is too. So the artists still get squeezed, right?
Right.
It's like,
right.
so I was reading an article about a band that charges, they do pretty well. They charge like $56 a ticket, and they get like 5,000 people a night. And when it comes right down to it, they end up with like $6 out of the ticket price
Wow.
from all of the. Well, I mean, that includes the cost of their crew and their expenses, but it's more than half of it is the venue and the ticket outlets, and
Yeah.
it's just the artist just never wins. Remember when we signed the deal with Roadrunner Records? We caught the stipulation. Roadrunner Records, so for each album we got a point or whatever, $1 per album, right? CDs were brand new, so this is 1998, 1997, and they were like, or 1998, 1999, and they were like, this new media, CDs, since it's unknown, we're only going to give you half a point,
Right.
and luckily Sussman was the only fucking thing he did right was cut that thing, right? And we scratched that out of the contract because that was just bullshit.
Yeah.
And it's another thing where if you're getting into it's hard because artists get into the bands because they love to play music and they want to play music, and every day I sat down with my drums, I just wanted to fucking bang the fuck out of these things, right? I didn't care who I played with, where I did, if I did a show, if I had a band or anything. It's like I just wanted to fucking bang the fuck out of things.
Yeah.
And it's hard to fucking go, okay, this could be viable one day, right? Start getting your ducks in order, right? And you form a band. It's like, oh, we're just playing it. We love playing together. We're having fun, writing these great songs. We're going to play some shows. Guys, everybody out there, get your fucking paperwork in order. I'm telling you right now.
Yeah.
It is the most. Get your ASCAPs, get your BMIs, get your fucking publishing rights, get your fucking music publishing company.
Copyrights.
Copyrights. Do not sell your merchandise and stuff. Do not give away your publishing.
Yeah.
And get it right, because ultimately, if you're good enough, they'll still pay for you, and you can still hold all that shit. If you're not good enough, it doesn't fucking matter anyway.
Yeah.
So just if you think you're good enough, get it in order.
Yeah.
On the other hand, despite all the terrible things about streaming, it has allowed bands to get their music out in front of people that they never would have been able to reach back in our physical media day.
Right.
To actually produce a CD or an LP, ship it out across the world is a huge task, and it requires a lot of money. It requires the record label, it requires financial backing, et cetera. And now you can just stick it on Apple Music and everybody around the world can hear it.
Well, and here's the other thing too, is actually the bigger stream is actually YouTube, fucking
Yeah.
all those streaming media services. You know, it's like that is where the money is now. If you can get followers to that, you can monetize that.
Mm-hmm.
It's actually bigger than putting out your music in a lot of ways, right? I mean, it is kind of putting out your music, but it's now the new way to put out your music.
Mm-hmm. That's what we just did with the Accused video. Yeah.
Yeah. What's that like that girl band that's like have you guys seen that?
Are they K-pop?
Yeah, no, it's not K-pop. It's
okay,
like
never
I don't
mind.
know. So I think it's from Japan, Tim. I think it's from Japan. They're awesome.
Oh, really?
And they just went, I mean, millions and millions and millions of views on Instagram, I think, and just kill it. They're brand new, and it's like within a month, this blew up. This is
crazy.
I can't believe, Tim, you don't know what I'm talking about.
They just came out. I don't actually listen to
music on Instagram.
Music
No. It's everywhere. I mean, you can't miss it. It's like a four-person girl group, and they're just like
Beaver.
I can't. It's all Japanese, so I can't sing it. But it's amazing, and everybody's talking about it. No.
Baby Monster?
Yeah.
Is it Baby Monster?
I think I think that's right.
Okay. I've heard
like that. Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's so catchy. It's just like, you know.
Yeah, and another thing about the streaming service is like I will be on it and I almost don't discover new music because it's like the algorithm, it's feeding me the same stuff. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So I feel like as opposed to a record or something, like I'm gonna sit down with it, I'm gonna spend time with it. You know what I mean?
Right.
You know, I don't know. I guess it hasn't. I don't know. But
how would a new band get discovered that way? You know,
that's the thing. Yeah.
You know, I mean, the competition is even more massive and against you. Your odds are so much lower of being discovered that way. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, the more that there is to choose from, the easier it is to be just hidden, essentially.
Be obscured. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. It's a tough one, but if to what Scott was saying, if you do get your shit together, young artists out there and young musicians, that's a good idea to get the business side of it down, but don't let it hinder your creativity. Don't let it become your reason for creating, because that's the organic, cool part of being all carefree about it and not caring if you make a penny off of it. Is it's purely organic. It's not being driven by any kind of monetary gain thought at all. But once you know that you could benefit from it, as long as you can keep that separate, I think you're destined to be, you know.
That's well said, Tom.
You know what I mean? Thank you.
Very well said. Very well said.
Just dawned on me there that.
I don't know. I get all my new music from Instagram now, so whatever that is.
I do too. Yeah.
You just sit there and let it come to you.
Yeah.
That's good.
You guys got any new recommendations? Any stuff you're listening to right now?
Oh, good question.
Yeah,
he's a Baby Monster, whatever it is.
Baby Monster.
I'm just still a Melakesh guy, 100% Melakesh. I mean, they haven't put out a record in probably 7 years or something like that, but a band that were originally from Iraq, I think, somewhere down there, and had to leave that area because the government wanted to fucking kill them or something, and so they moved to Amsterdam, and so now they're situated in Amsterdam. Yeah. But I love that band, Melakesh. Yeah, they're fantastic band.
There's a half dozen bands that I know that I blew my mind on that I've run across on Instagram, but I can't remember one of their names. Yeah, not even. I don't even remember what it sounds like. But you know, I'm old.
Yeah. Well, if you find it, let me know.
Yeah, I definitely will. Yeah, you gotta shoot me your information.
Yeah, I'll let you guys know.
And I'll send you a softie record too, or CD.
Nice.
If you have a way to play a CD.
Yeah, we can play CDs in the studio and stuff. I can play it on air and whatnot.
So. Oh yeah. I'll send you. If you send me your address, I'll punch you out album.
Yeah, we'll do.
Tim, did you talk to Jake about that footage? About sending him some footage? Maybe.
No, I thought it was maybe a little premature.
Okay.
And it's
Never
on
mind,
that
Jake.
pretty
You didn't
good
hear a thing.
state. Yeah.
We'll get him a little something, something.
Conversation
Yeah,
for
well,
another
something.
time.
Yeah, yeah. That VHS-C stuff I was talking about. It doesn't look good, but it's,
Right. Yeah.
pretty rare.
All right.
Anyways,
There you go.
Yeah, in fact,
thank you, Jake, very
Yeah,
much.
got it.
guys.
Yeah. All right.
Can I end it on that note? I'll have this all put together and I'll air it on my show this Wednesday, 9:30 a.m. Pacific Standard. I can send you guys the info if you'd like. But yeah, I mean, thanks again, Tim, Tommy, Scott. Really appreciate your time talking. It was great to meet you, and we'll be in touch, guys. Thank you.
All right.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Jake.
Thank
All
you,
right.
Jake.
Everybody. Bye.
All right.
Yeah.
Take care.
Bye.